This is Darlene Knight with JBBDK for JBBDK Business Tips. Think like an entrepreneur, unlocking the mindset of success presentation. Let's first talk about what is an entrepreneur. A lot of people say they're an entrepreneur or they're a solopreneur, and I really don't think people understand exactly what an entrepreneur is. That is a loosely used title that a lot of people give themselves. An entrepreneur is a visionary. That's a person who turns ideas into action. And many of us know entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, people who wear that title, but they're really not visionaries. They really don't turn ideas into action. They may have adopted someone else's idea and they're trying to now turn that into their business and then tagging themselves as an entrepreneur or a solopreneur. But entrepreneurs really have vision. You can have a conversation with an entrepreneur and they can tell you what they see, how they see it, what is going to happen. They can even tell you in conversation how their business is going to scale in the next 2, 3, 4, or 5 years. They create, they structure, and they lead a business. Not only do they do this in person, in real life, in real time, they also do it in the sense of mental. That's where the vision comes in at. Often taking financial risk, and anybody knows if you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, there is a whole lot of financial risk that goes into taking on this task to solve real world problems and generate profit. That's something else that they do. The idea of an entrepreneur is to solve real world problems and generate some type of profit while you're doing this. Entrepreneurs don't just sell products, and this is what a lot of people who tag themselves as an entrepreneur or a solopreneur believe, that it's all about just selling products or services, and that's not true. They spot opportunities. And if you're an entrepreneur and you have a product or service, you have to be able to spot the opportunities that is going to allow you as the solopreneur or the entrepreneur to scale your business. That's where scaling your business comes from. You have to be able to spot those opportunities, take bold initiative, and then build something impactful from the ground up. And generally, good entrepreneurs are able to see that. They're visionaries. They can turn ideas into action. They're able to spot opportunities. And then you have something that you can build on top of. And that means building a solid foundation and then going from there. Let's talk about what an entrepreneurial mindset is. All about innovations. It's a way of thinking and behaving that drives innovation, resilience, and strategic decision making. And I think many of us fall short when it comes to innovation. And then we have to think about what innovation is. It basically means applying creative ideas, new methods, or improvements to our products or our services or our business operations to create something of value. That is what it's all about. Also, it's more than just starting a business. It's a mindset of value, creation, problem solving, and ownership. And many times you don't see where that entrepreneur or solopreneur is taking ownership where innovation is concerned. Entrepreneurs don't wait for opportunities, they create opportunities. We just talked about that. You have to be able to spot the opportunity. You have to be able to be a person of action and a person who has vision. If you don't have any of that, those traits, it would be very difficult to be an entrepreneur or solopreneur, or even an artisan who is trying to get their product seen by the market. Let's talk about key traits of an entrepreneurial thinker. One is vision oriented, and we just kind of touched on that. 2 is self-driven. You got to be able to encourage yourself. And I know there's a Bible scripture that talks about to encourage thyself. Number 3, curious and constant learners. And I am always talking about learning. You got to educate yourself. You got to keep learning and learning and learning. Free information is good stuff. But there are times when you really have to pay for some information. Like you really have to pay for a workshop. You really have to pay for some type of training. And it all makes sense if you're trying to grow your business from the ground up. And number 4 is comfortable with risk. As you know, as entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, there is always some risk involved. There is always some type of risk involved. That is just a given. That is a part of the landscape as an entrepreneur, and it is what it is. Number 5 is resilient through failure. Understanding that failure does not mean it is the end. Failure is basically feedback that you can learn from, and you have to be resilient. You have to be able to jump back. If something fails, if it doesn't come through like you thought it was going to come through, that's okay. Use it like analytics, because that's basically what it is. It's feedback, analytics. You take it, you learn from it, you pivot from it, and you make it, keep working for yourself. And number 6 is action oriented. Any true entrepreneur that we know, they're action oriented. You can't stop them from doing something. It's like they have the vision, they understand the direction that they're going, and they're very action oriented. And number 7 is customer focus. They've always got their customer in mind as they build. This is a really good one. Employee versus entrepreneur mindset. And this one takes a little focus. And if you worked a job for any length of time, it takes a minute to kind of get away from this employee mindset. And that's a given. Don't be hard on yourself. I mean, we all worked regular full-time jobs at good companies and probably made good money and got all the benefits that come along with it and all that good stuff. And then there comes this shift where we say, okay, you know what? I have a talent here, or I can make this, or I can do this. I can provide a product or a service, and I want to start my own business. I want to be an entrepreneur or a solopreneur. And it does take a minute for a mind shift, and don't be hard on yourself if your mind hasn't shifted from employee to an entrepreneur mindset as of yet. It'll happen. So just let's touch on some things. Trait, security. Employee, a job gives us security many times, but when you look at the landscape right now, with a lot of these jobs, the security is not like the security used to be. So that's what an employee mindset is. It's a job, it's salary, that money is coming in like it's supposed to come in once a month, every 2 weeks, every week, however one gets paid. But the entrepreneur mindset is creating value and income. So not only are we trying to create some type of income, and we don't want just necessarily passive income coming in either. We want income coming in. Income that is going to sustain us, but we also have to be creating some type of value as well. Direction, the trait, direction. An employee mindset follows the rules. That is what we're conditioned to do. I know there's a lot of graduations this year, and I'm looking at all these young people and they're graduating with their degrees and all this kind of stuff. And they've just went through 4 or 5 years of being conditioned to follow rules. And that is generally what college is all about. I'm not knocking college because I'm a college graduate, but I'm just saying it conditions you to follow the rules. An entrepreneur mindset sets vision and direction. That is what it's all about, because you have to build a foundation, and then you have to have the wherewithal and the vision to be able to build on top of that foundation. And then another trait, risk. An employee mindset avoids risk. At all costs, they avoid risk. And why is that? Because it's their job, it's their salary that is at risk. And they're not trying to risk that if that is their sole financial situation that sustains them. An entrepreneur mindset is they manage risk. And if you practice managing risk as an entrepreneur, I think that is a trait or a skill that will carry you through your entire life. I mean, it's just something about being able to manage risk, understand risk, and then be able to move from there. And then another trait is problem solving. An employee waits for help. And generally they have to wait for help because it's not theirs. They work for a company, and that company has rules and policies and regulations and all these type of things. So they have to wait it out. An entrepreneur mindset finds or builds the solution. Even working for a company, if you have an entrepreneur mindset, you do this. You find or build the solution. And many times that type of mindset will get you into a situation, not a positive situation, with a company, because they don't want you to think like that we don't need you trying to find solutions and things like that. And if you are that type of thinker with a company, they will take advantage of it and use it. But many times people don't get promoted, or they don't get, the financial rewards that they should get, and those type of things. And then also a trait, ownership. An employee mindset is task driven. It's task driven because we have been conditioned from college. If a person went to college, we have been conditioned as a task driver. We have been conditioned to follow the rules. We have been conditioned to wait for help. Not an entrepreneur mindset. We're outcome driven. That is how our minds work. We're outcome driven. We don't stand around and wait for anybody to tell us how, when, what, or where. And those type of people that have an entrepreneur mindset, they don't work well in corporations because it's not how their minds work. Our minds don't work that way. So you find yourself many times, you'll find entrepreneurial mindset people, they will go from job to job many times because they don't fit into that normal structure, that normal corporate structure of how they want you to think. They want you to think this way. Job, salary, follows the rules, avoids risk, waits for help, and you're task driven as it relates to benefiting the company. And when you're not, your mind is not set like that, and it's the opposite with the entrepreneur mindset, creating value and income. You set visions and direction, you manage risks, you find or build solutions, and you're outcome driven. You don't work well in corporations. It's the reality with a lot of people. Core beliefs that drive entrepreneurs. Motivation. Got to be self-motivated. I am responsible for my outcomes. And we just talked about that. It is a outcome driven mindset. I can't stand around and wait on anybody. I got to do this myself. I got to take ownership of this. I got to be accountable for this. Remember this, failure is feedback. It's not defeat. And many times people will accept that failure as a defeat. Like, oh man, I can't do this. This is not going to work out. Oh, wow, this happened. And well, no. Hold on a second. Stand still. Failure is just feedback, like analytics. You take it, you look at it, you see how you can grow from it, you pivot, or maybe even go into a different direction. All is saying that failure is telling you that, okay, this is not going to work. So you do got to figure something else around it. And that's all there is. There's always a way. No matter what it is, there is always a way. And that way may not be the same way that everybody else does it. That's where innovation comes in at. That's where innovation comes in at. That's where outcome driven comes from. It's not like the way everybody else does it. And you don't want to be doing it the same way that everybody else does it. Create value, not just products. Create value, not just products. You got to have some value. And what is that value? Only you know what that value can be when it comes to your product. Now, 5 people at an event may have amethyst stretch bracelets, right? So as a customer, I can go to 5 different tables, and all 5 of these tables basically have the same type of bracelets or earrings or necklaces, right? There's no value in that. That's pretty generic. Those are generic products that I can get at any one of these 5 vendors, right? You have to create more value. So if I come to your table and you have an amethyst and 14 karat gold bracelet with butterfly charms, and not only that, they come in this beautiful little customized box, you have created real value, not something that is generic, but you've created value. And chances are you will get the sale and not the other four vendors, because everything is pretty generic. Let's talk about skills every entrepreneur must practice. And these are needs, right? 1, decision making under uncertainty. I'm not really sure if this is going to work or not. I don't know how I can do this right here. That. Decision making under uncertainty. You got to be able to make some decisions that make good sense. This is where vision comes into play at. This is where you're taking that failure and you're using it as analytics to be able to scale or pivot in a different direction where it comes to your business. Number 2 is time management and prioritization. A lot of people are not good with time management, nor do they prioritize things. So that time management and prioritization could mean you take one day to just develop videos if you have a YouTube channel. So I'm going to take today, I'm going to record 3 videos, right? So you're going to use that entire day. That's time management. And you're going to prioritize that. This is the priority today, Monday, to record 3 videos. Or you can say, well, today I'm going to create 10 necklaces and 5 bracelets with this day. So this day is Wednesday. So I'm going to take Wednesday This is what I'm going to do today. That is time management. That is prioritizing the task, right? Prioritizing the task. Number three is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. You can't let whatever is a negative going on with your business or in your life affect the building of your business. A lot of times, what will happen is people will go through some situations in their personal life, which is connected to our emotions, and it will cause us to step back and our business will get neglected. Or what will happen is we will begin to see that emotion in what it is that we're doing. And we have to have some emotional intelligence when it comes to that. Our business is our business. Our personal life is our personal life. Our personal life has nothing to do with our business when we are building a business. And one thing people don't want to be a part of is any emotional situations that a person is going through. You can share like, hey, well, I just went through this little emotion. So you might see, a lack of enthusiasm in my videos or something like such, only because I just went through some type of emotional situation with whatever. You don't have to even say what it is. And then that's communicating to your community and people understand, oh, okay, well, I can tell because usually she's all up and full of energy and enthusiastic and, just really this light. But all of a sudden she's more quiet. She doesn't have the excitement, right? Because something is going on. But if you communicate that to your community, hey, I'm going through a little emotional something right now, but hey, I'll be back. People understand that. And that's where emotional intelligence come in. We got to be able to use our emotional intelligence when we are entrepreneurs or solopreneurs. We don't need to be pouring all that emotion into our business and people just kind of living that out with us. They don't want to live that out with us like that. Number four, negotiation and communication. We just talked about communication, negotiation, and communication. If you're negotiating, like say business to business, you want to always have contracts, and whatever your contracts say, and as far as that language and that wording, that is the same language and wording that you are going to use in a verbal aspect. Communication, you're always going to be communicating that. So your contracts, your documents and forms, and whatever that is, that information and language should be threaded throughout, even when you communicate it on the verbal level. Number five, marketing and sales understanding. You got to understand marketing. You got to understand sales. Marketing, you got to figure out some type of way to market, if that's going to be digital, if that's going to be word of mouth, if that's going to be out and about at pop-ups, if at vending shows, if like however you're figuring out your marketing and your sales, you got to understand that stuff as it relates to your business, what it is that you are doing. Just because a marketing strategy works for some other business and it yields them some type of sales, that does not mean it's going to work for yours. So you have to figure out what works for you. Your business and you are a totally different brand, totally different personality, totally different everything. So you have to figure out what works for you. And number six is networking. Networking and building relationships. And you don't have to always be selling. You don't have to always be selling. Networking could be where you go out into the community and do some volunteer work. Find different organizations to go to and volunteer, or you can go to like different galas or business workshops or different things like such, and that will allow you to be able to communicate about your brand and about your business. And on top of that, you begin to build relationships, and that is something too. And remember, people buy from people that they like. People do business with people that they like. Let's talk about the entrepreneurial growth cycle. The entrepreneurial growth cycle. You got to be a real determined person and able to make these seven things a reality in your life. Number one is an idea. And most entrepreneurs come up with an idea. It would be a product or a service. And then number two is you got to validate by market research or test offers. So market research and test offers, you just kind of figure this out on your own, how you want to do the market research and how you want to do like test offers. Many times with a product, especially if it's like handmade items or something, we test the market by doing events. We might do outside events. We might do cultural events. We might do like spiritual events or something like such. And that's a good way to test the market, that way. Or you can even do something like subscription boxes and That's a whole process to do that type of thing. But you figure that out for you for your business. And number three is build. Well, Darlene, what does build mean? Product, service, creation. That means that you have to always be creating your product. If you're product driven, you have to always be establishing and building your product. That means creating. You have to always be creating. You have to create so much to where you literally have inventory. You have so much inventory that you have to figure out ways in order to market and sell what it is that you are making. Right? You have to figure that type of stuff out, but you have to always be creating product, always be making a product, and then just kind of going from there. Number four is launch. Marketing and selling. We just kind of touched on that part, but marketing and selling, you have to figure out a marketing strategy for you, a marketing product for your product, and selling. That is all on you. And remember, what works for another brand or company does not always work for everybody else. So you have to figure it out how it works around your business's personality, the way that your business operates. And number five is learn. Feedback, failures. Remember, feedback is analytics. Failure is also analytics. It allows you to be able to improve or pivot and refine what it is that you're doing. And that could be your marketing and selling. So if it doesn't work the first time, now you got to figure out something else. Maybe I'll do some digital marketing, right? Maybe I'll do some email marketing. Maybe I'll do some live marketing. Maybe I'll just go out and do pop-ups. Maybe I'll do whatever it is that you figure works well for your brand's personality. And number seven is to scale. And the only way that you can scale is as an entrepreneur, you have to be able to understand that feedback and failures are analytics that will allow you to pivot and refine your business. And in that, you should be able to spot opportunities that are going to allow you to scale. And if you don't have an eye for that and you don't see it, you'll be stagnant as a business. Vision and goal setting like a CEO, okay? Like a CEO, Chief Executive Officer. Set a compelling vision for your business. And this is where the vision comes in at for entrepreneurs or solopreneurs. You have to see past today. You have to see past making product and saying, oh, okay, well, I'm going to just go to that event and just sell at that event. And if that is what an individual wants to do, that's cool stuff. But we're talking about growth here. We're talking about having an entrepreneurial mindset. We're talking about establishing something that you can build on top of and keep building on top of and keep scaling and scaling and scaling to where you look up and you have a sustainable, profitable business. That's what we're talking about here. And then you want to break it down into quarterly SMART goals. Also, I'm going to give you a assignment. Go research what SMART is, SMART. Go research that and then come back and post it in the comment section and let me know what you found. Also, use reverse engineering. Start from the end and plan backwards. Start from the end and plan backwards. What does your vision show you? What do you see in your vision? You can write that down from the back. Do you see yourself with a two-story building, and that two-story building inside is the most massive eclectic collection of your items that you have produced, and on the top you might have a loft, and it's a coffee house. Like, what do you see your vision? And you start at the end and then you work your way back. And when you're working your way back, it's like, okay, well, how do I get to that vision that I see? My loft on the top is a coffee house, and on the bottom I have this boutique that is full of eclectic pieces, and it's thriving, and people are just all around. And how did you get there? So that's what that means when it says use reverse engineering. Write it from the back, the end, and then come all the way to the beginning. Mini exercise. You can write out your 3-year entrepreneur vision in 2 to 3 sentences. And if you're able to do that, you got a really clear vision for what it is that you are planning to do, and actually what you see for yourself in the future. Building confidence and overcoming fear. This is a big one with a lot of people. Building confidence and overcoming fear. I hear this a lot. Lack of confidence and fear, I hear a lot from entrepreneurs and also from artisans. First of all, you got to embrace imperfect action. We are all guilty of this one because we want everything to be perfect. We want everything to be perfect, but we have to understand that nothing is perfect. Nothing that we do is going to be 100% perfect. And then two is redefine failure as data. We just talked about that. Feedback, failures, use all that as analytics to be able to pivot and refine what it is that you're doing. Build mental toughness with routines like morning habits, journaling, and affirmations. Like morning habits can be prayer and meditation. That could be your exercise where you do your 30-minute exercise, 10-minute exercise, or whatever it is that you do. Journaling is a really, really good one. The book of Habakkuk says to write the vision down and make it plain so they that run may read it and they can understand what they're reading. So journaling is an excellent mental tool. And it helps you to stay on track. And also affirmations. I do a lot of affirmations here in my work studio. I have on the wall, I have different words, and I have words written down, and I look at these things every day. I quote them to myself every day. On top of my morning habits are like meditation and prayer, and also the Word of God. I read a lot of the Word of God in the mornings, and that is my morning rhythm. Also, thinking in systems. We don't think in systems many times as entrepreneurs, and I think only because many people are not conditioned to think as in the terms of systems. Entrepreneurs create repeatable systems, and we have to create those repeatable systems, whatever those are for you. An example would be product development workflows. Okay, figure out some type of product development workflow that works for you, that helps you to be able to create and keep creating product, and then that way you can always have some inventory. Social media content calendars. This is a good one. I think people just kind of shoot from the hip with social media, and they kind of post whenever they post. And you got to always be showing up when it comes to social media content. You may need to have some type of planner or some type of calendar. And then what happens with that is that establishes consistency, right? And then also email marketing funnels. There is an ebook on my website at www.jbbdk.com, and it's all about email marketing. So that's a really good book because there are several different ways to email market, and I don't think a lot of people know them. They're very simple, very easy methods in which one could use, but that book is on the website. Inventory and fulfillment systems. That would be something that you as an individual will figure out for your specific business, those inventory and fulfillment systems. But we do need to put some systems in place in order to help our businesses to grow effectively and efficiently. We have a 5-minute entrepreneur challenge, and this is an activity. The prompt is write down one problem you can solve for someone this week. And you can do this on your own time, whenever you feel like it. Number 2 is then list one action you can take to start solving it. Examples: offer a service, and then create a digital product, and then share content. So it's like however you want to do this, you want to write down one problem, just one problem that you can solve for someone this week. One problem. And then 2 is then list one action you can take to start solving it. And that's just an assignment for you. The CEO habits you need, and these are basically certain behaviors, daily or weekly habits. This is like really, really good stuff to do. Track your time and your money. Track your time and your money. That's where that time management comes in, right? Schedule thinking time. This is time for me where I do meditation and I do prayer. Follow up with leads. If you send out emails, if you send out newsletters, if you send out anything, or if you talk to someone about maybe a business-to-business opportunity, follow up on those leads. Don't just let them, just fly away in the wind. And also study your industry. Read what you can read. Look at the big people, the major people that are a part of the industry that you're in, and kind of study some of what they're doing. And you can always incorporate a little bit of what they're doing into what it is that you're doing, because they didn't come the major, whoever they are, just to become the major, whoever they are. Chances are they became the major, whoever they are, because of certain strategies and practices that they're doing. And it's okay to adopt some of those things. And then revisit your goals. And you can't revisit your goals if you don't have goals written down. There's a scripture in the book of John 14, the book of John, chapter 14:26, it says that the Holy Spirit will teach us all things we need to know. He will bring all things back to our remembrance in which he has taught us. He can't bring anything back to our remembrance if nothing is in there, right? That's just like our goals. We can't revisit our goals if we don't have goals written down anywhere. That's like the book of Habakkuk says, to write the vision down, make it plain, so they that run may read it and understand what it is that they're reading. It's talking about your goals. It's talking about the vision that God gives you. You got to write those things down so that you can revisit them often. And what happens with that is it keeps you on track. It gives you an absolute direction for which you are to go. And then that vision, it continues to get built on top of. Final thoughts. You don't need $1 million idea. Most of us think that we do, that we need $1 million idea. And for me, I don't ask for $1 million. I ask for the Lord to give me the wisdom, the knowledge, and understanding to be able to make the $1 million. That's good stuff. And then also you need a mindset that creates momentum. That's where that vision comes in at. You got to write the vision down, make it plain so that you can read it as you run because it gives you direction. That's where that momentum comes in. It's a mindset. It's a mindset based on, driven by vision. Okay. Number 3, be willing to start small. Be willing to start small, fail forward, and keep going. Starting small, failing forward. Failing is analytics. Remember, it allows you to pivot and refine whatever it is that you're doing. And then you're just going to keep going in that direction. The future belongs to creators. And I don't think a lot of people know this. The future literally does belong to those who create. And you got to be bold and think like a CEO while doing this. Questions and answers. Let's see. What's one mindset shift you're taking away from this session? And you can go ahead and put your answer in the comment section below. And then 2, what's your next step as a creator or entrepreneur? I would be happy to hear your thoughts regarding any one of these. What's one mindset shift you're taking away from this session? And 2, what's your next step as a creator or entrepreneur? I would be happy to hear your thoughts regarding that. Also, you could check out our business ebooks and our monthly digital magazine. You want to go head over to www.jbbdk.com. You can sign up for our monthly digital magazine. And then also we have a library of business ebooks on there that are available for immediate, instant downloading. And I want to thank you for watching. That ends this presentation. Darlene Knight with JBBDK for JBBDK Business Tips.